Yeah. So yesterday I was telling you about the nature of Congress dominance, and my topic is going on era of one-party dominance, right? Sorry. It means वो जिनमें era एक ऐसा युग जिसमें एक पार्टी का छत्र छाल रहा हो, means one party was dominating throughout the year, throughout the century, throughout the decade. One party was there, and people were so eager. They want to see that party only because they had so much power of dominance of the people over the people. क्योंकि उनका डोमिनेंस का इतना पार था कि लोग उस पार्टी के सिवा किसी और के बारे में सोचते ही नहीं थे. And that party was, as you know, what that was Congress party. And let me tell you, just calculate क्या हमने कल किया कि this was not only in India. This was in South America. This was in Myanmar. This was in Pakistan. This was in Bangladesh. This was in Belarus. This was in Egypt. This was in Eritrea. Many countries are there where one party dominance was there, and India was also one. Because the people did early in the early stage, people were not eager to see another country. You were, you can say, they were so hypnotized by the past. Okay, now, and now I'm giving you another example. That example was of PRI. बच्चों, this PRI question comes sometime in your examination, right? For this PRI, get ready with your book, with your pencil. Whenever I say that, please underline, do underline that particular aspect. Founded, this PRI was founded in 1929. Underline करना शुरू करो. कब शुरू हुआ था ये? कब फाउंड किया गया था? कब देखा गया था? कब जाना गया था? 1929. उसे कहा जाता था नेशनल रेवोल्यूशनरी पार्टी, and later it was renamed as Institutional Revolutionary Party. Later it was renamed. जैसे कांग्रेस पार्टी का कोई और नाम रख दिया गया हो या भारतीय जनता पार्टी का कोई और नाम रख दिया गया, so it was this party PRI was also renamed as Institutional Revolutionary Party. The PRI in Spanish, स्पेन की बात है, स्पेनिश के अंदर कहा जाता था एक्सरसाइज पार इन मेक्सिको, exercise power in Mexico. And where is the Mexico? Uh, Mexico is in Latin America. Mexico is in Latin America, in the border of North America and South America. North South America का एक वर्ड है, country है Latin America. So that is if this Mexico is in Latin American country, right? In Mexico for almost 6 decades, this PRI, they ruled in Mexico 6 decades, means 60 years. 1 year, 1 decade, sorry, 1 decade is equal to 10 years. So 6 decades means 60 years. It represented the legacy of Mexican Revolution. Legacy of Mexican Revolution. And you can say Congress Party is having the legacy of Indian Revolution against the British, against any other country, right? Legacy, जो संस्था चली आ रही है पूर्वजों से, right? Originally, PRI was mixture of various interests, including political. Originally, it could be coming into the question also like this. Let's write down a good essay, write down a small essay on PRI. Write down a small essay on PRI. So that PRI, you can I told you that is a Mexican. Mexico is in Latin America, and originally this PRI ruled Mexican country, Mexico for over 6 decades, means 60 years, right? So Originally, PRI was mixture of various interests, including political. इसमें कौन-कौन से mix करते? If party के अंदर बहुत सारे it has lot of interest to show the people that we are interested in various other aspects also. Not only in the politics, we are interested in Mexican administration. They are not only doing politics, they were interested in political, military, labor, peasant organization, and numerous political parties. Over the period of time, Plutarco Elias Callas, the founder of PRI, his name was Plutarco Elias Callas, the founder of PRI, was able to capture the organization. Thereby, the government elections were held at regular intervals, and it was PRI which always won every time. Now, listen to me. PRI used to have elections in Mexico, and this man, Elias, used to have elections in each and every correct interval. That's हमारे यहाँ after 6 years we have got the election, general election. Maybe they have got the 3 years, 4 years, 4 years, whatever the interval was. They used to have perfect, elections over there. And one thing was there. One thing was in doubt that every time 6 decades only PRI was the winner. Other party was not nearby of this. दूसरे पार्टी उसके साथ भी नहीं चल पाते थे. So PRI was so much involved in the politics of Mexico. Other parties existed. ऐसा नहीं कि other parties नहीं थी. Other parties existed, but only for the namesake. But only for the namesake. But means नाम मात्र के कारण ही वो दूसरे पार्टी. For example, we have got multi-party system. We have got the multi-party system. Here it is. Here comes. This is a blue box. We in India we have got the multi-party system, and in the multi-party system, big parties are there, middle parties, mediocre parties are there, and small parties are also there. The small parties, the local parties, lots of people they don't know local parties names basically. So they used to exist, but in the for the namesake only. And PRI always won every time. The electoral laws were operated in a manner as to ensure that PRI always won. Electoral policies are there. जैसे election की policies होती हैं, तो electoral we call it electoral policies. Electoral policies, electoral rule and regulation were also there. Where in South America, but that was presented. That was uh, done in such a manner. Those rule and regulation of elections was implemented, used to be implemented in such a manner that only PRI used to win. So as to ensure that PRI always won. Elections were often rigged. Rigged का मतलब लूट लेना और उनके अंदर तबादले कर देना, name change कर देना, manipulate करना. It's all called rigged. Sometimes here also means ballot box. They used to pick up the ballot box and they used to put their own ballot box. PRI used to put their own ballot box in which 100% vote is for the PRI. They used to do it, and these all are called rigged. RIGGED, rigged and manipulated. It's written here, manipulated by the ruling party. Who used to do it? Ruling party. Why do they used to do it? So that they should be the winner, so that they should be able to control the every aspect of the country, maybe political, maybe economical, maybe military, maybe internal, maybe external, what it may be foreign exchange and all, whatever it is important. Right? It was they want that they should be having a control over everything. And other small parties, they were just nominees, just nominees. Understood? This rule was described as the perfect dictatorship. Rule of PRI in South America was named as a perfect dictatorship. It's the best rule था इनका कि the people, the politicians, the criticizers, they used to call that in Mexico they have got the perfect dictatorship. Finally, the party lost in presidential election held in 2000. Finally, the party lost in the presidential election held in 2000. और तो 2000 के अंदर जब इलेक्शन हुआ था प्रेसिडेंट का तब उसमें पार्टी हार गई. Mexico at present, Mexico is no longer a one-party dominated country. At present, India is a multi-party system. In here, is a Congress, Punjab in Punjab. Sorry, in here, Haryana, BJP is there. I'm telling you, India side by side. I'm you know comparing with Indian election system so that everything should be clear for you. So, and whenever you are comparing, means the part of which you want clarity, it should be there. Right, it is there rather. Right. So I'm comparing now, as Mexico is at present is having multi-party system. So India is also having multi-party system. Right. In it lost, as Mexican presidentship, the PRI lost its majority in 2000. 2000 में majority हार चुकी. Right. So Mexico is no longer one party dominated. अब Mexico one party dominated नहीं है. But the tactics, जो tactics उन्होंने adopt किया था किसने? PRI. But the tactics adopted by the PRI during the period of its dominance had a long-term effect. Whatever you are doing in your life, in your surroundings, right, in your the country, whatever it's doing, in political scenario, when you do it, that is not effective. At present, then and there is not effective, but the effect it can be seen in the future, right? So यहाँ पे क्या है? The tactics adopted by the PRI during the period of its dominance had a long-term effect. It had a long-term effect. Still, the citizens of Mexico, they remember that how PRI was doing at before 2000. Before 2000, right? It had a long-term effect on the health of democracy. It depends on the people to people, or citizen to citizen, or what they think. Some will say that PRI was good. Some will say that PRI was not good. Criticism is there, and party, the democracy says we have to have the criticism also. We should respect the criticism also, so that the dominating party or ruling party could do the best. जब तक आपको सब कोई आपको criticize नहीं करेगा, you cannot improve yourself. So the citizens have yet to develop full faith, full confidence in the free and fair elections of it. Free fair election. There was not free and fair election in Mexico. Not free and fair election in Mexico, and they always think that that election is coming. There will be election will be rigged up. Then that will be manipulated, and PRI will be the winner. PRI will be implemented rules and regulations. All other parties, just in Mexico, democracy is the namesake only, but the reality is a perfect dictatorship. Perfect dictatorship. So you just heard it about it, and you also saw it in your book. And but after 2000 in Mexico, the PRI lost its presidential election, and at present, PRI is not only one party dominated as this India party. India is having multi-party system. For example, in Haryana, BJP is ruling, but in the nearby part, Punjab, Congress is ruling. So here in India, elections are free and fair. Let me tell you one thing: 95% to 98% free and fair elections. Look in Bengal, the Trinamool Congress is there, right? And this shows that we are having free and we means Indian having a free and fair election. But before 2000 in Mexico, if we compare to the Mexican country, so earlier before 2000, they were not having a free and fair election. Always, just the PRI used to win it, and maybe hook or by network, Sam, Dam, Dandapes, whatever it is, they used to win the election. So this was complete history of, and it was PRI was founded in 1929, National Revolutionary Party, and later its name was changed, Institutional Revolutionary Party. So this was the story of PRI, the story of so-called democratic setup in Mexico. Now I want to let you know about, you have heard the name of this man, very common name in our Indian politics. Chairman of Drafting Committee of Indian Constitution. Name was Shri Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar, Ramji Ambedkar. He born in 1891 up to 1956, leader of anti-caste movement and the struggle for justice to the Dalits. Struggle for justice to the Dalits. Scholar and intellectual. Founder of Independent Labour Party. Founder of Independent Labour Party. Please underline कर लीजिए इसको. Later founded the Scheduled Caste Federation, underlined. Planned the formation of Republican Party of India, underlined. Member of Viceroy's Executive Council during the Second World War, underlined. He was a chairperson or chairman of drafting committee of the Constituent Assembly, then minister in Nehru's first cabinet. He was a minister, but he was ardent criticizer of Gandhi and Nehru. Critical criticizer of Gandhi and Nehru. Nehru's first cabinet after independence, resigned from Nehru's cabinet in 1951. Resigned from Nehru's cabinet in 1951, and due to differences over the Hindu Code Bill. He adopted who? Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar. He adopted Buddhism in 1956 with thousands of his followers. So it was another brief history of a person who was a chairperson of a drafting committee. Earlier you learned about PRI from Mexico, and you did also about the small history of, bio sketch of Bhimrao. Then let's see, Rafi Ahmed Kizwai, 1894 to 1954, Congress leader from UP, minister in UP in 1937 and again in 1946. Minister of Communication in the first Ministry of Free India. Ministry was the Ministry of Communication. Free India. Food and Agriculture Minister 1952 to 1954. Okay. Now, question comes over here, very important question. What was the root cause? लिख लीजिए अपने बुक के ऊपर, लिख लीजिए please. What was the root cause of extraordinary success of the Congress? Just you write down what was the root cause. What was, write down only what was. Root cause of extraordinarily certain success of the Congress. It means it's question mark, put out the question mark. What do you mean by this? मीन बाय this, कुछ तो कॉज रहा होगा ना. कांग्रेस हर बार डोमिनेट करती गई. व्हाट वाज द मेन कॉज? मेन कॉज क्या रहा होगा? So point wise, I will discuss with you if the time allows me. Right. So the roots of this extraordinary success of the Congress party goes back to legacy of freedom struggle. This is a point number one. Because if you open a freedom struggle of India, you will find that Congress party was dominating. From every corner of life, the people used to say with proud that they are the member of Congress party, not like now. Earlier, before when they were fighting freedom struggle, right, in India. So, first causes, number one, the roots of this extraordinary success of the Congress party goes back to the legacy of the freedom struggle. Congress was seen as inheritor of the national movement. ये फर्स्ट पॉइंट खत्म हुआ. तो आपको इस थोड़ा सा आपका खुद भी you have to define yourself. Now the Congress was seen as inherited. Inherited मतलब जो उनको वंश से मिला है, वंशज, वंश से जो मिला है. Inherit करना. Inherit of national movement means only the Congress party was fighting the freedom struggle and it was inherited. उनके वंश में था. Many leaders who were in the forefront of the struggle, first point, second point is many leaders who were in the forefront of that struggle were now contesting election as Congress candidates. Means जो भी leaders थे उस वक्त कांग्रेस के, now they were fighting the election. Now they were fighting the election. Now what was the advantage? What was the advantage? Those people were very much near to those candidates who were fighting the election. They were very much near to the common man, common people, common generation. They because they were from that common gathering only, and they knew what are the basic difficulties of the society, what they want in heart. दिल से दिल में क्या चाहते हैं वो, उनको पता था इन चीजों के बारे में. That's the reason that those people who were the candidates, they were near to the common man, common people. This was the second one. The third one, the Congress was already a very well organized party, and the time the other parties could even think of a strategy, the Congress had already started its campaign. Means third point, जो पार्टी कल सोचती थी वो कांग्रेस आज सोच लेती और उस पे काम शुरू हो जाता है. Means what to do, and the strategy of Congress was well advanced. The other party used to think only that they will go on just this much. They want this much path, this much map. Started map was there, right? This much on this map they have to go on. Map of how to fight the election, what to do, what not to do, right? So flowchart was being done by other parties. The Congress party used to go for the campaigning. जब उनकी प्लानिंग शुरू होती थी दूसरे पार्टी की, कांग्रेस पार्टी कैंपेनिंग पे चली जाती थी. They were lagging behind very much. They were in lagging behind very much. So this was one of the main drawbacks. This was one of the main drawbacks of other parties. Then the Congress was already a very well organized party. Fourth point. Fourth point here, the Congress party was very well organized party, and by the time the other parties could even think of a strategy, Congress had already started its campaign. In fact, many parties were formed only around independence or after that. But the Congress had the first of blocks advantage. So ज्यादातर parties क्या हुए? After the independence, they came into inform that no, look, India is going to be a multi-party system. They are also coming up after bifurcated from the Congress. They are also joined. They also, give the birth of the another party with their name and all whatever the logo is. But they are coming from Congress. The people were from the Congress. So basically, after the independence, the other party was thinking to start the new party, but the Congress was having the basic ground. कांग्रेस के पास बेसिक ग्राउंड पहले से ही था. जो पार्टी अब नई बन रही थी उनको वो अपने बेसिक ग्राउंड को ढूंढ रहे थे. बट कांग्रेस के पास ऑलरेडी ग्राउंड था, सॉलिड ग्राउंड था, हाउ टू फाइट द इलेक्शन, एंड अदर पार्टीज दे डोंट हैव. राइट. सो in fact, many parties were formed only around independence or after that. Thus, the Congress had the first of the bloc advantage. By the time of independence, the party had not only spread across the length and the breadth of the country, as we had seen in the map, but also had an organization network down in the local levels. You know, when after independence, other party was going to think to come into the forefront, the Congress party, got the advantage और पूरे देश का उनके पास मैप था कि कैसे उन्होंने आने वाले इलेक्शन को फाइट करना है. Their people spread throughout India, right? Their people spread throughout India, length and breadth, as we seen in the map, but उनके पास ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल नेटवर्क था उनके पास कि हाउ टू डू द कैंपेनिंग, हाउ टू फाइट द इलेक्शन, what will be the agenda, who is going to fight the election. And the main advantage of Congress was that these people, they had solid background, number one, and the leaders were the best. Leader was the best. Rest. And last point, network down to the local level. The most importantly, Congress was still recently a national movement. Its nature was all inclusive. All these factors, जितने भी ये जो मैंने आपको factors गिनाए, these factors were the best factors for the dominance of one party era, that was the Congress. So here I can come to an end, right? So you think you have a glimpse whatever I have done with you. If any question, you can ask.